There's one more story I want to share. It's very interesting that I found in reading from Riwayat in some of our books. One of the books, Madinatul Ma'ajis by Sayyid Hashim Bahrami. They have it in English now. It is 4 volumes. It's nothing but miracles from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. It's a very interesting book. So, he says, the Riwayat says, after the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, a white bird came and landed near the body of Imam Hussain. And it soaked its wings in the blood of the Imam. Then it flew to a place where a lot of other birds were there, in the shade of the trees. And they were chirping, and the Imam is telling the language of the animals, like Suleiman knows the language of the animals. It says that the birds were talking about food and water and basic things. This bird said, woe be on you all. You were occupied in discussing about food and water while Imam Hussain alayhi salam, grandson of Rasulullah, is killed in Karbala. His body is lying on the hot sands of Karbala. His blood is still fresh. You are talking about food and water and other useless things. When the birds heard this, they flew to the plains of Karbala, where they saw Imam Hussain alayhi salam already slaughtered on the ground. And those cursed men also beheaded him and took away his head to Kufa. No one had done his ghusl, no one had done his kafan. Also the body was trampled under the hoofs of the horses, while the hot sand of the desert was carried by the wind, gradually covering the body. Imam says the jinns of the forests, mountains, and deserts were arriving to pay homage to the Imam. When the birds saw the condition of the body of the Imam, they began to wail loudly. Then they smeared their wings with his blood. They flew away in different directions and started to announce with their chirps the disaster that happened in Karbala. They said, people, Hussein is martyred in Karbala. Hussein is slaughtered in Karbala. And Muslims have plundered the house of Hussein in Karbala. Wherever these birds flew, other birds surrounded them, and together they started mourning Imam Hussain alayhi salam. One of those birds flew to Medina, to the tomb of Rasulullah. And for a long time they continued to offer condolences to Rasulullah. Imagine the grave of Rasulullah, and the birds are flying there, and they are just doing something different. They are making a lot of noise around the grave of Rasulullah. Other birds also joined them, and they chirped the sorrow of Imam Hussain for a long time. So the people of Medina noticed this agitation of the birds, and they thought it was very strange. They didn't know what they were doing. What's the issue? Why are all of these birds here doing this? So they noted down the day that this happened. And after some period of time, the news of Imam Hussein's martyrdom reached Medina. This is when they realized that the Imam was killed on that same day, and that those birds were in fact giving salam to Rasulullah, giving condolences to Rasulullah. Taking off from the tomb of the Prophet, the bird flew to an orchard with fruits and things owned by a Jew. And it perched on a tree, and it sat on that limb of the tree and continued to mourn the death of Imam Hussain alayhi salam all night long. This Jew had a daughter, and she was physically handicapped, and she was also blind. And he used to bring her to this orchard in the daytime and then take her home in the evening. But he got busy with work, and he left her there all night under the trees. So she was under the same tree that this bird from Karbala perched on that limb. And it says that a drop of the blood from its wing, that when it wallowed in the blood of Imam Hussain, it dropped from the limb of the tree, and it fell in the eye of that girl. And due to the barakat and the blessing of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, her eye became cured immediately. Subhanallah. Then another drop fell on the other eye, and it became cured immediately. She got her sight back. Then some more blood dropped from that bird onto her body, and she rubbed it on her body, and she became completely normal through the blessings of the blood of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. In the morning, when her father came to the orchard, he saw a healthy girl. Imagine he left a paralyzed girl who was blind, and he sees a healthy girl running around. And he asked her, have you seen a sick girl who I left here the day before? The girl said, Father, you don't recognize this is me. I'm the same daughter who was blind and was crippled. When he heard this, he fainted. And when he woke up, he asked his daughter, how did you get cured? How did you have your sight back? How are you able to walk again? The daughter brought the father under the tree where the bird was perched, mourning for Imam Hussain. She said, Father, last night blood dripped from the feathers of this bird, and it fell on my body, and I became cured. The Jewish man, he asked that bird. He said, I beg you by the one who created you to speak in my tongue. Talk to me in my language. Allah gave the bird the power to speak like a human. And it said, I was sitting with others from my kind when another bird joined us and said, birds who were occupied talking about food and water, chatting while Imam Hussain is martyred in the hot sands of Karbala. The tyrants have cut off the head of Imam Hussain, as well as his family is wiped out. So we all flew towards Karbala, where we saw Imam Hussain lying on the ground. Blood was coming out of the neck of Abu Abdullah. We applied his blood to our feathers and we set off in different directions. I flew here to offer condolences to Rasulullah. Then when the Jewish man heard this, he became certain that the droplets of the blood of Imam Hussain had the cure for his daughter. There is shifa, dealing with Imam Hussain. He said he became sure of it. And he said because of this, his grandfather must have been a prophet. So this Jewish man, along with his daughter and 5 other members of his family, they all embraced Islam due to this miracle, due to the blood of Abu Abdullah, Imam Hussain alayhi salam.